Explore your thoughts. Learn what you think you already know. We're taking you on a journey to the other side. Welcome everyone to another edition of The Other Side. I want to thank everyone for watching this journey, for everyone trekking along through all of these interviews, through your districts of police jury, so on and so forth. We've wrapped up the police jury, as you know, and now we're wrapping up the sheriff's candidates before we move on to another race. This is the last of our sheriff's candidates, which is the incumbent, Mr. David Dauzat. David, thank you so much for attending, for agreeing to come on this podcast. Really appreciate it. I've been getting a lot of positive feedback from a lot of people from the podcast. They say that, and even the candidates as well, they say that, when you're campaigning on the road, I'm sure you experienced this, you talk to thousands of people, you can't necessarily sit down and relay, 30 minutes or an hour or however long this podcast is going to last of information. So it's a good way to get it out there, and it's not like a FM broadcast or something that if you didn't hear it, it's gone. A podcast lives forever, and on the internet, watch it whenever you want. So thanks for joining the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We real quick, everybody knows Sheriff David Dauzat. You've been our sheriff for a little over 3 years now. You were elected almost 4 years ago, but the sheriff race has kind of a funny thing. You don't go into office in January. Was it June 1st?
July 1st.
July 1st. So you've really only been in there about 3.5 years and some change.
A little over 3 years.
Right. Yeah, a little over 3 years and some change. That's right. So I'm sure you've seen and learned a lot of things in there. We're going to get into that and explore all that today. So real quick, we know you sheriff and whatever, but tell us a little bit about yourself for those who don't know, prior to being elected, a little bit of your background.
Okay. I'm a lifelong resident of Avoyelles Parish. I was raised in the 5th Ward community. There I was raised in farming and heavy equipment construction. My wife is Patricia. We've been married 30 years. We have 3 kids and 4 grandkids. And went to college, got 2 years of college, and decided to put my application with the state police. In 2001, I was hired with the state police. Graduated the academy in April of 2002. In 2014, I was promoted to State Police Sergeant, where I managed troopers and operations in 10 parishes, from the Simpsport Bridge to the Pendleton Bridge in Texas. There, I've got to see, what went on in 10 parishes, and I decided that I wanted to do something more, because Avoyelles Parish was pretty much the top first and second, in my opinion, of problems and things like that.
So what got you into politics? Is this a lifelong aspiration, or is this something you just woke up one day and wanted to do, or you just want to make a difference? So what got you into politics?
I think it was the day-to-day operations, where I was, as a supervisor in Troop E. I was headquartered in Alexandria, and there we got to see, just like I said, what went on in 10 parishes, and it was concerning. We had a lot of shootings in the parish. We had a lot of drugs, number one in domestics, number one in underage drinking at the time, and just concerned about my kids and my family, and I know other people felt the same way, so I decided to go ahead and do that. And another big thing too was our sheriff, Doug Anderson, who is no longer with us. I knew he was getting older and up in age, and I was concerned about who was going to do it after him. So I decided to step up and try my hand at politics, and I won, and here we are today.
Is your effort to contribute back to society?
Absolutely.
To your parish that you grew
Absolutely.
up in. So, David, like we said, the sheriff's election cycle is a little different. So you've only been in just over 3 years. I'm sure you've seen a lot of changes. You've learned a lot. What are some of the accomplishments that you have, that you can say that you and your administration has done?
One of our biggest accomplishments is being able to come in at midnight. We were not allowed to transition. Usually, the sheriff will let you in, let you transition and stuff. So we had to come in at midnight, and it was pretty tough. I didn't have an envelope with my name on it. We didn't have checks with my name on it. We had to make payroll in 10 days for not only my 135 employees, but the last administration's 254 employees. And just being able to make it past that point, we had limited resources and limited budgets. And we fared through all that without borrowing $1. We did really good business. That would be a huge accomplishment to keep us going, and we continued with buying equipment and many different things. If you want me to continue as far as explaining,
Yeah, you go ahead and list your accomplishments, whatever you feel the
uh,
voters need to hear. This
yeah,
is your
we
chance.
like I said, when we went in, a starting deputy, the sheriff's office pays a portion of his salary, and we call it a state supplemental pay, which at the time was $6,000. The state pays that, but the sheriff's office portion of their pay was $10.71 an hour for a starting deputy. Sergeant was approximately about 11.40, and a lieutenant was approximately 12.40 an hour. And we managed to bring that up. We gave them a couple of raises since we've been there, and and to do that, we had to stop at about 2.5 years because they have election laws, so you can't give raises 6 months prior to election. So basically, in the last 2.5 years, we've managed to give those raises. A starting deputy now is $15 an hour, sergeant is $17 an hour, and a lieutenant is at $18 an hour. We've managed to. We started the last administration. There were 2 detectives that stayed. We increased that number. We brought some there, and we continue to increase it today. We have 9 detectives now. And when we started, there was one post-homicide investigator. And what that is if there's a homicide in a parish, there's a law that was passed that stated you had to be a post-homicide investigator to investigate that homicide. If you wasn't, then you could. You had to use another agency or something like that. Well, there was one there when we got there. Now we have 5 that are post-homicide investigators. We started a crisis negotiation team, which an example of that would be if there's a barricaded subject. In the past, we would call the state police to come and talk to them and negotiate with them to try to get them out of the house instead of using some type of force. And what we did is we started training with the state police and we created our own team. So now we don't have to do that. We actually used it several times and were successful in calling the people out the house without having an injury to them. I also have staff on the U.S. Marshals Task Force, the FBI Task Force, and Louisiana Attorney General Cybercrime Unit, where we solve sexual crimes and things like that. We've got 5 brand new vehicles in our Criminal Patrol Division. Criminal Intelligence Division. I sold the prior sheriff's truck. He had a nice truck. We sold it and bought a brand new transport van. That was something good to use for the office. We had 1 school resource officer when I took office. Now we have 3 in each high school. Uh, I brought the DARE program back. To me, that was a big accomplishment, bringing that back for the kids, for drug awareness and peer pressure. Our patrol division, we added a K9 uh, and a tracking dog. We have a narcotics dog and a tracking dog. We've added equipment. We've managed to purchase hats, uniform supplies, brand new bulletproof vests, tasers, body cameras. Before, as long as I can remember, and as long as the deputies could remember, the deputies had to buy their own duty ammo, which is it's a special kind of ammo law enforcement use. That when you shoot, it doesn't throw a flame, so it doesn't flash. And but we started buying that for them. It's a little more expensive than regular ammo. We bought 4 brand new patrol cars. Just the equipment on top of the cars and in the cars is about $7,000, not counting the car. We bought 4 brand new ones. We wrote a check. They paid for. We've done a bunch of training. We've done a bunch of training with our jail staff and our LSP staff. Excuse me, I'm going back to Louisiana State Police.
Hmm.
But we done a lot of training. Both we sent them to academies. We had at least four guys graduate. It was a police academy and a correctional academy. Uh, we work with our state and federal agencies on the drugs. We've got a grant now that is it's a weekly grant. We do it one time a week. It's a 5-hour detail that's paid by a grant. The officer gets to make overtime on that, and that's in addition to our regular patrol deputies. And that's concentrated on drugs and warrants and criminal activity. Uh, we started traveling around the country to go pick up criminals. Uh, in the past, we had people with felonies that would escape Louisiana and go to different states to kind of escape prosecution. So what we started was a little task force that we have at the office that we put them in a nationwide computer system, and when they get caught, we go get them. We've been to Pennsylvania, Las Vegas, Florida, Mississippi,
So y'all go
Oklahoma.
get them from the parish
That's right. We go
with a
get them and
transport
bring them
van or
back,
whatever and come back.
and it causes them a lot of trouble because when they get arrested in another state, they don't get released that night. You know, they have to wait for extradition and stuff for their paperwork to go through and waive the extradition, and we go pick them up. So it causes them a bunch of trouble. So when they get back here, they're willing to pay or whatever they need to do, or they may have. We had one that had a rape charge against a young juvenile. So we went get him. I want to say that's the one we got in Pennsylvania or Nevada or something, but we go get them. You can't run now. You know, you can run, but you can't hide. So. Uh, when we took office, that we collected ad valorem taxes for Bunkie and Marksville. That was already being done by the prior sheriff. We renegotiated contracts with them, and now we're doing it for Bunkie, Marksville, Mansura, Cottonport, Plocherville, and Moorville. We replaced our computer software system. Right now, in the tax office, we communicate, you know, through a computer system with our assessor's office with the ad valorem taxes, and we were able to buy a program for about $15,000. That way, when we change something in the computer, his computer automatically changes, and vice versa. You know, if he changes something, our computer changes. And we're also there's a 1980s DOS computer system in our financial department, which we have to change. It's pretty bad. So that one
1980.
is 30,000. It's 1980s, yeah. And that one's 30,000. We plan to do that one around March, right after the tax season. Uh, and There was no website when we got in there, and we started that. We got that back up just to try to inform the public of not only what we're doing, but crimes, scams, let them know what's going on.
So not just Facebook. You saying you actually have a website?
Yes, we have a website.
You know it offhand?
Yeah, it's the Avoyelles Parish Sheriff's Office. And you can go to it and you'll pull up our Facebook page and website and stuff, and like I said, on there there's a few things that you can get off of there. We started doing an annual report. We send out it's a little pamphlet to the people in the parish about just to let them know what we're doing with the taxpayers' money, and that's something that's never been done by the prior sheriffs. Our jails. Last time the jail in Marksville passed inspection was 2013, and we just passed it in March. We worked hard with DOC. We had the guys from Raymond Laborde come out and tell us what's wrong, how to fix it, and it took a while. It took a little over 2 years to fix it, and we passed inspection in March, and we're hoping to get, we got our women work release back. That was pretty quick with the women, but we're waiting to get our men back after this inspection, so we should get them back in around December, the first of the year. Um, in that we sent a lot, like I said before, we sent a lot of our correctional staff to train. That way they know a little more about the legalities of it too. You know,
So
you
prior to
can't
this, there was
use.
no training.
I want to say there was a couple of officers that received correctional training. You know, and that
Yeah.
was from the prior
Right,
administration.
but it wasn't required first day on the
No, we
job.
do a little hands-on type introductory where we give them what we call BJGs. It's a basic jail guidelines program.
Yeah.
That way they could read through it and kind of know. But we actually starting to try to send more
That's an
correctional
actual
officers.
training
Yeah,
facility.
and there, yeah, so they can actually arrest people and stuff if need to. Uh, Future plans include, speaking of jails, my future plans include to build a new jail in the back of the current one we have now, where we sell the wood pile, and And in there, I'm going to put a courtroom. I'm going to try to put a courtroom in it. And that way, we're going to put like simple things, arraignments and stuff. Some days we transport anywhere from 40 to 80 something inmates to the courthouse, what we do now. And that's a lot of back and forth, and
So that would be one of our two district court seats, or would that be a
yeah, what
third?
it is the two district court seats will still be at the courthouse, but instead of transporting inmates to the courthouse and while the public is mixing with inmates, we're gonna try to kind of cut that out. We talk with the judges; they're in favor of it. They're gonna come straight in the morning, first thing, handle the incarcerated individuals and people that's been arrested over
Right.
whatever over the weekend or whatever. We're going to try to process through and it's a lot quicker and it's safer and it's more efficient and
Yeah, and free up some traffic at the
it's going to
courtroom
free
as
up
well.
traffic in the courtroom. They're going to have a lot less chance of getting drugs passed to the
Right. Yeah.
inmates, or and it's going to cut down on a lot. It's going to be a really, really good plan. New a new jail, probably a 200-man jail, from what I talking to the other sheriffs, is about give or take 25 million or more.
Yeah.
So we might have to cut our jail back a little bit and kind of do like Angola and make camps to where we can either add on in the future or do that. And I don't plan on asking people for a tax. We're doing some good
Yeah.
business now.
How big? How many man is the facility we currently have?
It holds the male jail facility
Yeah.
holds 438. And the female facility, uh, prior to us getting there, held 317. When we got there, there was 42. They left 42.
Oh, damn.
Prior to me taking office in January and February, uh, they got rid of a little over 400 and something inmates and shut down both women and men work release, which cut the budget about 4.5 million. So it was pretty tough going in, but another big accomplishment, I would say, with about a year and a half ago, we had a lot of catalytic converters getting stolen. I mean, it was unreal in the parish, and it wasn't just us. It was neighboring sheriffs. It was a nationwide problem.
Mm-hmm.
So, senator, we worked with our senators. A senator, Louisiana senator, authored the bill, and we worked with him and district attorneys and stuff to try to get the law um, good enough, because prior to, the old law, we had to prove that a salvage dealer knew the catalytic converter was stolen. And it was hard to do
Yeah, it's
because
very hard to do.
they would get somebody to steal it and they would get somebody to sell it. So, and it was true. They didn't steal it. I mean, they got somebody else to do it. So what we did was, like I said, we got a local senator. He's very proactive, and and he's law enforcement proactive. So we got him to alter the bill. He worked with the sheriffs. We meet every 3 months with the sheriffs, and
So who's he? Who's the senator?
he was Senator Talbot, and he worked with numerous senators, Bodie and a bunch of them.
Right.
But he was the one that really altered the bill that brought
Yeah.
it up to legislation.
Okay.
And what he did was, we all thought about it, worked together, all the sheriffs, and so it made it a little tougher. What we did was, if the average citizen went to sell a converter, okay, if he sold more than one a year, he had to be licensed as a dealer. So that would stop a lot in itself. The other thing was, he had to take a picture of the guy selling the converter, take a picture, of the vehicle, the license plate that he was in, and have the make, model, and serial number of the vehicle that the catalytic converter come off of. Well, that just it completely shut down the whole market for
Yeah.
converters in the parish. I don't know about other parishes, but I had my detectives personally serve all the salvage dealers in the parish with the law, and that way they signed for it. That way they couldn't say, "Well, I didn't know about the law and
Right.
stuff."
That
And
way everybody knows.
I only know of one converter in the last year being stolen, and that
Mm-hmm.
was Mr. John Earls from Bunkie. I think he drove up on his farm or at his house, and the guy cut the converter, jumped in a vehicle. He pursued him, went in the house, and we got him out the attic. So that's the only one I know of in probably the last year.
Hmm.
And
So drastically cut down on the.
oh,
'Cause
we
I know
have
at
not.
one. I know at one
Uh,
point there was. I mean, in a night there where you would hear of different areas, like multiple, maybe a dozen that they went off in
Yeah.
a night and just wiped them clean, or they would go to um, like a towing and salvage yards and
Right,
things, and they
right.
would just rape them.
Yeah, that in the beginning it was tough. Like you said, in a salvage yard, we caught one guy three times in 2 months, stealing the converters.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough because I mean it's tough on us. I
Yeah,
mean it's a reoccurring offense
and
that
it's
we needed to stop.
occupying your resources, pursuing
Absolutely.
that instead of other
And you have
crimes.
report writing, you have the DAs that the paper trail goes to the DAs. Another big thing was a fentanyl bill, a law that was just passed on fentanyl. We partnered with Representative John Stefanski.
Mm-hmm.
John is actually running for the Attorney General's office,
Right.
and he's proactive in law enforcement, and he authored the bill with fentanyl. And if you just have to have a trace of fentanyl, and you can get 1 year on the first offense, maybe 5 to 7 on the second, 25 years, and 99 years to life on the last offense. And it doesn't have to be in that order, depending on the quantity.
Right.
So that's gonna, but it only applies to distribution. It doesn't apply to possession.
Right.
So but we're gonna work on that. Like I said, we have enough uh, resources that we can catch our dealers and stuff and work on that. We managed to do a lot of good business. We good stewards with the taxpayers' money. When we went in, obviously there's several vendors in the sheriff's office, and what we did was just renegotiating contracts. We were managed to save 80,000 a year just with two vendors, and the water bills were at 21,000 a month in Marksville at DC1 facility,
Mm-hmm.
and the jail itself and the office. And we fixed a bunch of leaks. We put timers where the inmates could only shower like 2 hours in the morning, an hour or two at night, and we reduced that bill to about $7,000 from 21,000 to seven, and
From how much? From
21,000.
21
Yeah,
to 7. That's
yeah.
a
And then here recently,
56%.
Marksville just went up on their water bill a good bit, but I think now it's at 9 or 11,000. And that's money that we're using to give raises, to buy
Right.
vehicles, and also our jury subpoenas. We changed that, our mailing process. We work with the clerk of court. We were spending about a little over 50, about between 50 and 60,000 a year on jury subpoenas, sending out jury subpoenas. And you have a change of address and somebody don't do this. And
Mm.
so we changed that. We kind of modeled a little bit off of Rapides Parish. And we worked with our clerk of court. We worked with the DA and his staff, the two judges, even the assessor came to our meetings. And we reduced that to about 5,500 to 6,000 a year. That's huge.
Yeah.
Uh,
From how much?
it was between 50 and 60,000. It averaged around 53,
Right.
55,000, 56,000. So
Wow.
we say, we're doing just common sense things to do
Mm-hmm.
good business and fix it. And let's see, I know we did something else. Our phone company in the jail. We took out so many cell phones out the jail when we first went in there that the revenue when we got in there was about 7,500 a month that we received off of inmates using our phones, you know. But we took out so many cell phones and stuff that, and we're trying to keep that down, and we're averaging now between 20 and 24,000 a month with our jail phones. So it's just a common sense, good business. Anything we could do to just think about cutting spending, we're doing it. We're doing it.
Right.
So instead of buying, we can't afford more patrol cars right now. So what we did was we bought, I think we had 4 brand new motors and transmissions, and we're replacing them in our Tahoes. So now we have a Tahoe with a brand new motor and a transmission. Instead of buying a new car, the motor and transmission together is about 13,000. So we're saving a lot of money there too.
Right.
So we're just trying to do common sense things to help the parish and give back to our employees because they wasn't making very much. Out of 135 employees that we started with at midnight, counting myself, 90 something were $7.50 and $8 an hour.
Mm.
So we managed to raise them too, and some of the correctional workers are making, you know, anywhere from $10 to $12, and if elected again, as soon as I go back in, I'm gonna go ahead and give another bump. We're just gonna keep going. What hurts us there is all, having to come in and struggle and do all that. Well, 2.5 years in, there's election laws. Well,
Mm.
election law on election year is you can't give raises uh, 6 months prior to an election
And then you
or
don't start until July the
until July
2nd, so that
1st.
only gives you,
Well,
I mean,
it's
July
until,
1st,
yeah,
so that only gives you
that's,
less than
man,
3 years to,
that's tough. And
yeah.
another thing too is even if I need employees, which I do, I cannot hire more than 5% of my total number of employees for that year. So that's 6 employees for me.
So election aside, just in a year, you can't hire more than
Well,
5%?
besides an election, I can, but
Yeah,
during
during
election,
election
I
year.
can't. I can only hire 5% of my total number of
Right.
employees.
You heard that, ladies and gentlemen?
So,
We're going to need employment at the sheriff's department soon.
yeah, if I get it, y'all better come apply because I need some people. And but we're just trying to do common sense things
Yeah.
to help the office, but at the same time give the people more, the more resources we have with patrol deputies or investigations with detectives. I mean that's more resources that the public's getting. So that's what we're
So,
working on.
so at any given time, let's say right now,
Hmm.
how many patrol deputies are on duty?
We have a lot of a lot of people listed on our patrol deputies. We have anywhere from 2 to 7, depending on training. You have people take vacation.
Yeah.
You have people go to training. We have details. They have to go manage details. Uh, let's see. There's some of the school resource officers. They work
Mm.
4 days a week, but on their off days, sometimes they come in extra. Like during the summer, we
Right.
we add them to the shifts. We do criminal patrol details in addition to the criminal patrol grant. Sometimes I'll allow an officer, if we did really good on the budget, I'll try to say, hey, go ahead and give me a couple of officers out there. We
Right.
got a few people we need to pick up,
Right.
you know.
But how about like, if I call 911 now,
Yeah.
like
Well, like I said, it
how
just
many
depends.
deputies? So there's not like a set amount every shift.
Well,
There's
it just
2 or 4
depends
or something
because
like that.
average I would say 2 to 4 deputies.
2 to 4.
We want
It's
more.
parish wide.
We want more, but retention. I'll give you an example. Uh, I lost 3 deputies. I want to say in the last year, I lost 3 deputies in 2 weeks. Okay, the tribal police hired 3 of my deputies. I think they were getting 6,000 more a year. You
Yeah.
know, uh,
Money talks.
hey, I can't blame them. I
Mm.
mean, they're bettering themselves. I lost one to a federal court system. I think he's making $25 an hour, and he's not dealing, so much with report
Right.
writing, chasing the same criminals. I mean, I can't blame people like that. Another one of my deputies, a good deputy, went to assist. He was paramilitary, so he was hired at the youth challenge camp, like for youth, the YCP camp.
Yeah.
He went and he's like an instructor there. He helps with the classes and stuff. So and he's making probably $18 an hour.
Yeah.
That was prior to my raise. He left prior to. But I'm saying
Right.
we probably lost 9 officers. To some type of budgeting, or they were just getting wore out. They were just getting the retention was terrible. They
Yeah.
were just, man, I'm wore out. I just needed something a little slower, a little more family life, and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And
Yeah, we're not a very large parish population-wise. Our population actually went down from 2010 to 2020. I mean, to 2020. I think it was 42,000, and the last census in 2020, we were 40,000. So we actually
Yeah.
less people. So of course that affects revenue and everything for all the local public offices and everything else. Um, so you still managed to give raises. You went from 1071 to $15 for
yeah, on a
the
beginning, a
deputies.
starting.
So you did good business and everything, renegotiated with vendors and everything.
Yeah.
But was that enough to give the raises, or you able to get money? Is there any grants, or is there any
Yeah.
monies that come from anywhere else?
Well, what we do grants, and it's weird the way grants work. Some grants, like I'll give you an example, like a USDA grant. Uh, It's a federal grant, but the thing is based on population.
Mm.
So I'll give an example of maybe a parish like Winfield or Iberville. Iberville collects approximately 23 million in ad valorem taxes a year. Okay, not counting maybe their
Yeah. Is
jails,
that
and
coming a sales tax or is that a property
that's
tax?
a property
Property
tax, an ad
tax.
valorem tax. Okay, they have probably half the population we have, and
Mm.
they're collecting 23 million because they have industry. They
Yeah.
have okay. Well, you look at us. We're double the population,
Mm.
and we're collecting approximately $1 million in ad valorem tax. That's it. Okay, so but USDA grant, because of their population, they may get 8 to 12 brand new cars, patrol cars. It's 100% paid because it's based on that population.
Right.
It's looked at like as a smaller department, but it's really not because
Right.
of the
A
money.
smaller department, so they help out more, but they
Right,
have higher property taxes or
exactly.
whatever it
Whereas
is.
us, our USDA grant is a 50-50. I have to pay 100% of the money up front, and then they reimburse me 50 after it's paid.
Mm.
So I think I'm going to look into that as far as trying to change some of that, maybe based on income,
Yeah.
taxable income versus just population. I mean, it makes more
Right.
sense that way. I'll give you an example. Okay, a detective. What does a detective make me money wise? He's a public servant. He doesn't make me any money.
Mm-hmm.
A patrolman, if he arrests somebody or a detective arrests somebody, what do I get? A $30 booking fee? You
Mm-hmm.
know, well, that doesn't pay. That's paper, personnel. I mean, there's so many things that it takes care of. So you look at secretaries. What do secretaries, besides a crash report or little things, that's
Mm-hmm.
$12. It's not
Right.
bringing money in the office.
Yeah.
So the way to bring money is ad valorem taxes, which we have, which is not, very much, and uh, jail. The jail is our big revenue winner.
You're
And
talking about like DOC
inmates,
inmates and stuff?
a Department of Correctional inmate, which we call an inmate. Let's say we have a pretrial inmate. Let's say we get somebody arrested in the parish, whether it be whatever. You know, uh, we're not receiving any money on that, on
That's
him.
costing you all money at that part. You
It's
got to
costing
feed
me
him,
money.
clothe
Got to
him.
feed him, clothe him, uh, haul him if he has,
Mm-hmm.
while he's incarcerated. If he has to go to the doctor, it's on the
You have to
parish.
bring him.
That's on the parish. It's coming out the sheriff's budget, and the police jury. Now, if if we have what we call a parish inmate, and he's sentenced, and he receives state time. He's going to a state facility, or even we can house him if he's not let's say he's below 15 or below years of he has to serve.
Mm.
Then we'll keep him at our facility. And at that point, he becomes a Department of Correctional inmate. We do receive 26.39 a day for him,
How much a
and
day?
$26.39. Okay, and it helps. It helps
Yeah, for
to.
sure.
We're not looking to make money at the sheriff's department. We're just
Mm-hmm.
looking to provide a service and have a little extra in case we need to. But I'd like to, and that's the whole point about building up a new facility, is the facility we have now. The women's facility is an old school. It's
Yeah.
not made to house inmates. I mean, we've been doing it for a while, and the prior sheriffs have. But that's why you have your security issues and stuff like that. And so what we're gonna do is try to get a facility. We have more like a sales. We don't have hardly have sales like in our DC1 facility in Marksville.
Mm.
There's three big dorms. It looks like a mini gymnasium, and we have approximately 40 something bunk beds in there, and you have 80 guys, 80, 90 guys in one room, and they give trouble. You put them in a smaller dorm, maybe that holds 5 to 12 men, but they all troublemakers,
Yeah.
So it's pretty tough. They tear up stuff, they break stuff, they fight a lot, they break jaws, and it's cost the taxpayers money. So and it's hurting my budget. So we're trying to do better sense, and I'm gonna try to build jails with a few more cells. That way we could make a cell block and put our problem inmates that need a little more
And stick them
attention.
together.
Yeah, and the guys that want to do fine, they do well together. They don't make no
Mm.
trouble.
So if you mentioned earlier, the new jail facility that you're looking at would be around, I guess, basically half the size. You said about 200 something,
Correct.
and this is 400. Would that affect the revenue? Less DOC inmates, and I guess less,
Well,
work release even for.
I think what I could try to do is to try to bring some good revenue. Is go back to maybe a federal inmate. But federal, there's a lot more stipulations with
Mm.
sanity. I mean, you may have to have social workers there. You know, when you move an inmate, you got to have a good camera system.
Mhm.
Uh, the security. We're talking about federal inmates.
Yeah.
You can get in trouble if you don't have it fixed right. And
Right.
also maybe out of state inmates. Maybe I can house an out of state inmate at a higher per diem rate per day, and I don't have to house many, but it will help. Maybe that one inmate that's an out-of-state inmate or a federal inmate will take the place of two inmates,
Yeah.
parish inmates,
So a federal
or
inmate
DOC.
would pay more than a Louisiana than a DOC inmate.
Oh yes, yes. I would, I would have probably assumed it paid anywhere from probably $58 to $65 a day,
So at least
possibly.
double.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe, yeah,
Maybe more than that.
at least probably double, at least that. So, but like I said, the main thing for the jail now is just a safer jail for our inmates, and to keep the
Hmm.
taxpayers' money down. Because, like I said, when you get an inmate, that hurts himself or hurts others, it costs
Yeah.
money, and it's just trying to do better business and bring safety and better stuff to the parish and the inmates, and maybe programs too.
Right.
Maybe we could start a program and model a state facility
Yeah.
if we get it running right.
Do Do you have a number on the adverum tax? Like how much? What's the millage or whatever? What y'all
Well,
receive?
what we receive, I'd say we've been averaging 900 to 1.1, maybe around a million, yeah, an average
Yeah,
about a million
about a
dollars.
million.
And
You know what that is? Like on the
a
millage
million
of the.
dollars, no, I don't really know. I don't have, recall right
Yeah.
off,
Yeah.
but I can tell you, if you look at that $1 million, and you look at our payroll every 2 weeks with payroll and pension, you know, man, you're looking at 150, 160,000 easily every 2 weeks.
Right.
So I
So
mean,
your main source of revenue, I guess, like to move
yeah,
forward. I mean, that is like you said,
yeah,
it's not a lot. It looks like a
no,
lot, but it's not. So it's doing better business.
yeah, we
Um.
make a little bit off our commissaries and stuff,
Yeah.
but with the commissaries and stuff like that, we try to put that money uh back into something to do in the correctional system.
Right.
When we got there, the inmates were not in orange or anything. I
Hmm.
mean, it's hard to tell the difference sometimes between a guard and an
Yeah.
inmate. And so we try to change that. We looked at buying some jumpsuits, some
Hmm.
orange jumpsuits, but they were pretty expensive. I think it was just for the males. We didn't pay price to females, but that was probably about 240 to 260 guys when we got there, and I think it was around 30,000 to do that. For give them two jumpsuits, one clean one to wear, and then
Yeah.
one to wash. And we went ahead and went with some scrubs, kind of like a hospital type scrub,
Mm.
and we did an orange shirt and pants for about half the price. So that's what we're doing now is uh, we're using that, and we allow the inmates' families, if they want to bring in maybe their socks and
Yeah.
underwear and then maybe a T-shirt or something just to help out them from buying something a little expensive.
Right. How about the work release program? Would that be a way to generate revenue?
Yes, yes. Work release does generate a sizable amount of income. The only thing with that is one, we just started, so Department of Corrections with the women, probably about 2 years ago, and a year and a half for sure. And the you risk that once they go out, they bring in contraband, and stuff
Right.
like
Yeah.
that, and it does happen. We have rearrested people that were incarcerated but out on work release and had to rearrest them,
Mm.
and DOC they gave us a number of 25, and uh, we had 16 that were work release eligible, and we're working around 14 or 16 right now, and we asked DOC to provide us more, you know, and when they can, they do. But they have to go through a classification program to see, if they're violent offenders and sexual offenders, they can't and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
And
So
it's only post trial conviction. It's not pretrial
That's
people
correct.
that you
No
can use.
pretrial.
And
It's
I'm sure
only
probably the majority
after.
of the inmates are
Yeah,
pretrial, just waiting to go.
yeah, and DOC inmates, like you said, they don't. As soon as they turn DOC, they don't just throw them out there to work
Hmm.
release. They have to be on that short time where they know they're not going to run or escape, or
Right.
and they
Good
actually
behavior and.
DOC actually is the one who actually approves them to work release,
Mm.
and then we have to send their applications in, and they approve, and then whatever they approve or allow, we go ahead and work. You know,
Right. So they'll make so the work release will go get signed on, I guess, with some company, some job, and then
yeah,
they pay them X amount, and then some
yeah.
of that is paid to the sheriff's
That's
department as
correct.
well.
We get a portion of that.
So speaking of the women's jail and everything, we'll jump on that.
Hmm.
Recently, we had those inmates that broke out and everything. What um, every now and again, even before you were
Hmm.
sheriff, it happens. Inmates break
Yeah.
out. What if you can touch on that? What can maybe what happened and maybe what can be done to
Yeah,
keep them contained?
the last one we had the seven escape. We looked back at the film and stuff, and the inmates had a key to. We had a side door that was only used for like inspections. Once a year, we open it and close it for inspections, like a fire escape or something like that. And they obtained the key. You know, uh, we tried to look back at the cameras. The cameras didn't go that far back, and so the thing is you don't know if an employee gave him a key, made a copy of the key, and gave it to him.
Mhm.
You don't know, where it came from. I mean, and even if the inmate says, we interviewed him and we do that, and I can't get into too much of that because it's still under
Yeah, an
investigation. But
investigation.
I can tell you this, even without the physical proof, you know, they could say, okay, well, if an inmate says this guard gave it to me, right? And then you think the guard's going to say I gave it to him? We've interviewed him and stuff, but
Right.
it's a he said she said, and you got
Right.
an
The inmate's word against
inmate's word in
the.
this one, and
And
okay,
I'm
you're
sure you
talking
get a lot
about
of
an inmate.
false convictions
You're talking
even.
about an inmate. So
Hmm.
how do you know that inmate is not trying to get rid of that
Exactly.
guard? Because they do their job, or maybe they don't do their job. I
Hmm.
don't know, but I'm saying some of it is it's just like a regular investigation. It's what you can prove.
Hmm.
Now there are steps to take, but it's just like bringing contraband into a facility. They're not going to bring it in, you know, when we there Monday through
Right.
Friday. It's going to probably come in on a Sunday or a Saturday, and then it's just
Yeah.
they have every day to do this.
Right.
I
And
mean,
it wasn't a structural deficiency. They didn't crawl
no,
through the vent or nothing.
no,
That kind of
no.
thing. It
Now,
was.
like I said,
Is it?
there again, we have a women's facility that's an old school,
Hmm.
okay, and that building is not designed, you know, to house inmates, in my opinion. So, why nobody ever changed that, I don't know. But I'll give you an example. We have picture a rectangle, okay, and the four corners are dorms, or women's dorms,
Hmm.
all right, and on uh, one side is a set of bathrooms. Well, that set of bathrooms, it's an old school, so it's for everyone, you know. So you're constantly, the ladies are constantly either locking the doors, opening, closing to let them go to the bathroom. It's so easy to cause a distraction, do this, that. It just,
It's
and
not
that's
like you see
where.
on TV. You close the jail cell. There's two inmates and a toilet in the middle. This isn't
It's
built like that.
no, it's basically a school. Like I
Yeah.
said, picture a school and the kids' classrooms and the
Yeah.
kids go to the bathroom. Well, that's what it
There's
is.
people
So,
watching this who
and
have attended that school.
that's right. And let's say you have an inmate that tells the other inmates, "Hey, let's just say you have to use the bathroom. I have to use the bathroom," and the guard keeps opening and closing and opening. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
they cause trouble. They do this. They have time to do that, and so it's a constant battle. But that's where my new jail comes in with sales, and there are your trustee dorms should look like that.
Hmm.
Where your people don't work release, they stay out
Yeah, a little bit
in
of
the
freedom
public.
going
Yeah, they
out.
stay out in the public. I mean, if they want to run, they can run. Their employer is the guard. You
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah,
mean?
they could have already ran.
Yeah, but they on short time, and you see that's what's good about a Department of Correctional inmate is there's consequences,
Hmm.
because even once they get out, they're on probation. So they don't want to mess up again because they're automatic. They may get 2 to 5 years just by messing up.
Yeah.
So they're kind of a little more on their P's and Q's. So, but I'm going to try to build a new women's facility where that one's at. I'm going to get with the school board, work with them, and because nobody wants a new jail but a house. So I'm
No.
gonna keep it where it's at because they living with it now, so they're probably gonna be good with it. And
Yeah.
I'm sure they won't mind if there's a safer
Yeah,
facility.
safer ones.
And like I said, I'll put the inmates that cause trouble. We know who they are,
Right.
and I'll put them in the cells, and I'll keep your work release and your good manageable inmates in the building in now.
So what would you do? Bulldoze the old facility and just
Not
build
for
on top?
now. I think they have enough room on the sides and in the back to just add a
Okay.
facility and redesign it.
So that'd be the one jail, like for male and female, or
No, I would probably
so
leave
that's a
female for
different.
female. Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be like
Yeah.
two new jails. What we
You
looking at?
cannot house. You can house males and females together, but they can't. They have to be out of sight.
They can't
sound.
interact.
Out
No
of
kind
sight
of
and
way.
sound, and it's too hard. You'll have a kitchen
Oh
here,
yeah,
kitchen
I
there.
can
You
see
can't.
that.
You can't do that. So we'll have to manage it. I think the safer way to be would be build like a smaller, uh, like I said, cell block, and then you just keep adding on, and you connect the building to the
Right. Yeah.
building, and
You got
have
a
a
starting point, and you can always add
exactly,
on something down the
absolutely.
road. Maybe a grant or something let down the road could
Yeah, we
add
definitely.
another dorm or
That's
something.
right. And like I said, that's why your large, USDA grants and stuff, and
Right.
anything to try to get a low interest. But right now, interest is so high.
All right. So that would be the main key as far as funding. It wouldn't come out of the little $1 million ad room, and
No,
it would
it would
have
come
we
from
would need
inmates.
some kind of
It would
grants
come
to
from
get it
inmates
started.
and just good business.
Yeah.
Good business.
Sheriff, recently, a month ago, something like that, we had an incident at I think it was the Marksville High School. There was, I think, a bomb threat and something like that. Which brings to mind, lately, the last several years, there's been these shooters and whatever. Is there any kind of, or are you and your team prepared for a situation like that? If something came up, is there any kind of training or
Yeah.
y'all the first responders there? A plan, someone to go in, and w- what is your, I guess, what is your outlay, your plan for if that was a
Yeah.
situation?
Yeah, we work with, I'll give you an example. The school that just happened. Okay, we work with, the school is in the city limits of Marksville. So, if there's any arrest to be made or anything like that, usually Marksville PD will handle that. All right, but I do have a school resource officer in the high school for the Marksville High School, which he stretches over into the elementary also. We're not gonna just leave him in the high school just
Right.
because that's what he's for.
So
So
he works there full time.
yes, he works there 40 hours a week, Tuesday through Friday, just like the school days. And they'll hire him after school activities and stuff like that. But what we do is uh, we work with the superintendent, and we just got together here recently with this last bomb threat. We did it before, but every time you do it, there's something that you can improve on.
Right.
And as we did it, we improved, and we improved again. And we have an evacuation plan. Like I said, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to say our plans because then somebody listening can react on that,
Yeah.
But let's just say we made an operational plan where the policemen know what to do, the teachers know what to do, and that way, like let's say we have a bomb threat in a particular building, they don't have to say, okay, where do we go? That's all pre-planned. And Marksville PD and my staff work together to do that.
So it even goes down to the teachers. They're instructed on what to do, how to handle
Yes.
it, and X, Y, and Z after that
Yeah,
point.
yeah, and we're actually we did a debriefing after the last school bomb threat. We brought in the superintendent and stuff, and a couple of her employees. Got with state police. We had everybody there. We had state police. Brought the attorney general's office down. A couple of feds were there. Uh, the local municipality. We had a lot of enforcement agents come with the Tunica, Biloxi, other community policemen came as well.
Right.
So we do it, and plus we do the active shooter training and stuff like that.
So where does that take place at?
We choose different locations, and that way our offers can familiarize themselves with the location. Uh, we did it at LaSalle, we did it at Bonke, we did it at St. Joe, Uh, and I tell my officers to go walk through the schools,
Yeah,
yeah,
familiarize
just
yourself
just
in
go,
case this really
because
does
yeah,
happen.
the patrolmen that are out in the areas, just go. That way, you know where it's at, because we do have plans for every
Hmm.
school. If you unroll a set of blueprints,
Yeah,
but the thing is a lot of what maybe used to be a library is not a library anymore. It's a teacher's classroom or a home ec, or you know what I'm saying. So if
yeah.
you go look at that, it doesn't do you any good.
Hmm.
So, and our school resource officers, they really do a good job of kind of pinpointing positions, and because they're going to get it first,
Right. And everybody
and
has a role, I'm sure. Someone
everybody has a
goes
role.
first, and
Because you got to remember, you don't know just because they say it's a bomb threat, or you don't know what it's going to be. Just like we go to calls, they may say, a domestic. When you get there, it's not a domestic, it's maybe a homicide, or, I mean, it just changes. It
hmm,
changes from one call to another. So you have to be prepared on overall, and that's where your training comes in.
right.
So when we pull up there, a perimeter set, because, you don't know. You got to protect the public. You got to keep people from coming onto the school, and you got to keep people sometimes from leaving school sometimes. So,
Right.
and like I said, we straightened out that on that debriefing the last time. We've got, it's better. We're working on that, and we want to do that with every school. We
Right.
just talked to Sacred Heart. They have a security guy over there. He's got some paperwork, and we're meeting with him because they're fixing to put a fence around the school. So we want to. That's going to change the whole plan.
Yeah.
So we got to get with him again. So
So how about the overall crime in the parish? Are you seeing an increase, a decrease, overall about the same? I know now with social media, word travels faster, so
yeah,
you'll see a crime spree in this area, and it has been worse in recent years. I don't mean since your administration. I mean
right. No,
just
yeah,
in the last maybe 10 years even or whatever. It's not like your neighbor that's even stealing. There's, I mean, I'm assuming even out of parish cartels that come in because they hit them in areas, or multiple locations in vehicles. Is at least is what I see, anyways. I'm in the security business and everything else. So
hmm
anytime there's a crime spree, people want cameras, alarm systems, and stuff. So I hear stories from everywhere, and it just seems like it's almost like organized. It seems like. Um, is there any kind of, I guess, plan enacted to maybe combat that, or what are your thoughts on
yeah.
these?
I can tell you definitely what you said. Like I said, I worked even with the state police. I could see things, a lot of things happen in Alexandria,
Mm,
kind of before coming here, and I
yeah,
saw it back in probably 2016 through 2018. And that's where the heroin and stuff started, way the
yeah, and
fentanyl,
the fentanyl and
way
everything.
in Alec way before here, and then it just slowly come this way. But I can tell you, in my law enforcement career of over 20 something years, I've never seen this much crime ever, and it doesn't matter. I've never seen this many homeless people. Just,
Yeah.
I mean, it's unreal. And I think a lot of what I'm seeing is repeat offenders. I mean, I have a guy that broke into a house, an abandoned house next to my house. And there's nothing in it that could steal. The owner said, "I'm not worried about it. There's nothing they could steal," but the door was left open. So I put a deer camera there. Me and my
Hmm.
neighbor, we put a deer camera there. 10 days later, guess what? Guy comes back. Now, who went in the first time? Can't prove that. But like you said, that's where it's coming down to cameras.
Hmm.
The second time, we identified him, and I talked to my patrolman. I talked to a couple of, well, my guys showed Marksville PD, because where the house is, it's not far out the city, and they showed the guy. And then we showed inmates, and the inmates said, "Oh, I know who that is."
Yeah.
They called him out just like that. So he was a repeat offender. We arrested him several times. I think he was arrested multiple times each month for probably 5 months. Almost 4 to 5 months in a row. But it's like the paperwork gets to but they have so many cases that I don't
Hmm.
know if it's pulled up, in time. And then they look at a particular case, they may not be able to see the two more cases that are not finished. Now, reports may be still at the police stations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If it all happened at one time, then you could say, oh, 7 times, well, we need to put them away.
All right. By
But
they, you mean district attorney, judges,
yeah, because
the court
like I
system.
said, it takes a while for a paper trail to get through an
Right.
office to the DA's office. Then they have to, they have other cases too. They have big trials and stuff. So
Hmm.
they may look at it and say, okay, well, a trespassing and a theft of let's say a bar stool or two, because that's what one of them took.
Yeah.
Well, what's that? $45, $50? It's a misdemeanor. So they
Right.
don't give them much time. They may give them 7 to 10 days, but not realizing that there's 3 more reports at the police station fixing to come back through the DA's office again. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's I think the volume. I can tell
Hmm.
you, the volume is unreal of just
Yeah.
crimes and warrants. We're processing
Right.
like him. I couldn't. It wasn't a non-view arrest. I couldn't just arrest him. I had to go. We got to get a warrant. We got to. You know what I'm saying?
So it
And they
almost
have to.
bottlenecks
Oh, it
in
just
the court system.
unreal. Well, it's just the volume. There's so many
Right. So
crimes
many.
being created that and
Hmm.
it's bottlenecking
Yeah.
and it's hard
Well, I
to
think it's important we talk about this, like we are, because a lot of people, just like you said, the guy seven
yeah,
times, someone might watching this might say, yeah, I know that guy, or
right.
why don't they put him away? Is it is it you letting him out in the middle of the night? I
Well,
mean,
I can't
or
let them out.
so
We just
so
arrest them. It's
so you arrest. So
yeah,
the process is you get a call,
yeah.
you for whatever stealing or whatever, you send a deputy out,
Mhm.
he gets arrested if there's a warrant and whatever, you arrest him, you lock him up.
Yeah.
What happens after that to that inmate?
He has to have a bond hearing, we set a bond on him. If he can make bond, then he gets out immediately,
So
depending
if
on
he
the
has
crime.
land to put up, or if he has
Yeah.
money to,
Let's say
or
it's a
bail
small
bondsman.
crime. Let's say he steals a kid's bike. Okay, what's that?
Hmm.
$50 to $100. Okay. Well, the judge may issue him, judge says bonds. Judges said bonds. So let's say he says, well, okay, it's a misdemeanor, so he
Hmm.
sets him whatever, $1,000 bond or $1,500. Well, that's 12%. If he pays that, he's out.
Right.
So, and then he's back free again until the next time, or he'll serve his time in jail
If he
and
can't bond out.
maybe get credit for time served. So, some people that can't afford it, they do their days in jail and then they get their court date, and by the time they get it, there'll be credit for time served. So
So the repeat offenders that we're talking about, are they bonding out?
some are
And some are just serve their time, they get out and just
yeah.
do it again?
And then some of them, like I said, that bottleneck with the court system,
Yeah.
that it takes so long to get there, they may continue it. Maybe an
Hmm.
attorney says, look, I can't make it today.
So whenever,
I think they allowed one continuance per side.
right,
So if the attorney says, hey, I can't make it today, and it could be 6 months from the time. I don't know.
yeah,
It just depends on. They got some cases in there.
right. So by the time one reaches up to the court system, there might be another 2, 3 arrests that didn't just make it yet to
Oh,
to
it's,
the court.
it's
So they're only seeing one and not all
and
the
look,
other ones.
their dockets are huge, man. I've
Oh yeah.
seen I've seen man 80 to 100 man
Hmm.
dockets,
It's
and
hard to track
and you
everybody.
have to remember
Nobody
now,
can.
it could be, like I said, it could be something like traffic tickets.
Mm.
I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of that's a lot of them wrote. It could be
Hmm.
can't pay that ticket. They didn't come to court.
Yeah.
They got to set a contempt of court. That's a warrant. Now we're arresting somebody who didn't go to court.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of things. Speed tickets. You have divorce cases being heard. You have property settlements. You have child custody issues. All that takes time, hours of the court.
It-
You know
But only 2 judges.
and only two
Yeah.
judges. So it's look, it's tough. You'd almost have to individually pick that person, just wherever you want to start, either at the end or way at the beginning, and say, okay, what kind of problem is he or not, and
Yeah.
just deal with him, get him away. But it's the numbers are unreal.
Yeah.
You know,
There's not enough time in a day or a week to
Yeah.
process and look at the
I mean, yeah.
nuanced details
And
of
let's
everything.
say you have a 80, 100 man docket, and you may get, I don't know, 10 or 15 don't show up to court. That has to get processed. The warrants have to be issued. They send them to us. Now they're back in the system. We got to re-arrest them. Or go try to find them. They change their addresses are not the same. I mean, it creates
Out
a
of state.
bottleneck. Yeah, man. I mean,
Do,
it's
you-
pretty
do you
rough.
see a correlation of the crime we're talking about and the influx of drugs, with the fentanyl and everything that's been.
I definitely think drugs has contributed to a lot of crime. Like that guy I was telling you about
Mm-hmm.
that broke into that abandoned house. That's been abandoned since the 90s, you know. But
Yeah.
okay, let's say he's been arrested. Like, let's say we do all the arrests. He's been arrested 7, 8 times, whatever, 10 times. Okay, he's homeless. He has one pair of shorts and a shirt. You know, he's got an arrest record. Uh, if he gets out, let's say he serves 30 days in jail, 60 days in jail. If he gets out, he don't have a job. He probably don't have a house anymore. The electricity been cut off. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so he's got to eat. He's got to live. So what's he gonna
He
do
goes
for
back
money?
to it.
And
Yeah.
if he goes big, you know, look, there are a lot of people that'll feed him, but will you let somebody sleep at your house that you don't know?
That's right.
I
Yeah.
mean, you know, so there he goes again. He starts right back up. Whereas I think if uh, from the beginning, you know, we're a little harder up front, then he serves that time. Let's say he does serve time. Then he gets on work release. Well, now he has a job. If he's a good employee, that guy's
Yeah.
probably going to keep him and say, hey, man, I like you. You're a good employee. When you get out, I'm going to help you get
That's
a
right.
place to
Yeah.
stay. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But if you get arrested 27 times or 50 times and you try to go get a job, man,
Yeah. Nobody's gonna hire you.
nobody's going to hire you. And I mean,
Yeah.
if you have 3 or 4 kids and you're young, let's say you're 27, 30 years old, you have 3 or 4 kids, you know, you go try to get a job. Man, I don't think you can make it on a McDonald's or Burger King or even a
Mm.
sheriff's office salary. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, which they probably making more than us.
Yeah.
But but I'm just saying, think about it. Trying to feed and a vehicle, you know, it's almost they just say, man, I can stay home on the government and I can do better.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think
And sell drugs on the side to make the ends
and
meet. Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, you know, but like I said, you know, it's just like life in general. It's consequences,
Mm.
and if you have consequences, you're gonna tighten it up. You're gonna tighten up, you
Yeah.
know. So I think
It.
maybe if we do that early on
Right.
instead of later, where their life is finished, they have too many arrests, they're not gonna get
Yeah.
anything, you know.
It's a
Now
very
that's my opinion. I mean, hey,
right.
you know,
It's a very strange situation. You know, there was some kind of program to help because some people messed up.
yeah,
They serve the time and they want to get out and do something with themselves, and then nobody will hire them, and then you know they owe back child support for the last 5 years that they were in jail, and they can't get a job. They end up just going back to the streets,
uh,
and you
yeah,
know,
we've picked up people with that owe as much as 25,000 on
mm,
back child support. So you know, I mean, that's tough in itself. You
yeah,
know, I mean, now look, like I said, if you were tough away in the beginning,
yeah, you
then they
could have
wouldn't have
cracked the
got to
whip earlier.
25,000. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
So you know, but like I said, that's my
being more
opinion.
proactive
But it, you know,
stricter.
I think in the long run, I think it's better for the correctional system because if you keep getting a repeat offender and a repeat offender and a repeat offender, it's costing the taxpayer
Yeah, and
so
he hasn't
much
learned his lesson at that point,
between
anyways.
paperwork and warrants and you know and cases going to the district attorney's office. It's gonna bottleneck, you
Hmm.
know. But like I said, you know, we had an early release with Governor Edwards. You know, I mean,
Hmm.
you get a guy on state charges right here. We got some drug dealers on 12 to 15 years. I think they're gonna serve 2.5 years. That's it. You know, so I mean, that's not a lot. You know, whereas if now some of them will straighten up. I'm sure. I'm sure there may be
Hmm.
one or two that straighten up. We've had a couple of inmates, or a few actually, say they're not coming back, and I believe them. You
Hmm.
know, they worked outside with us. It's the environment that they're in. You know, I think that's what's a big factor.
Yeah. Uh, I got a few more questions for you before we get out of here, but there's something I wanted to mention to you. Whenever we had spoke on the phone a while back, whenever we were setting up the for this interview, we were talking about a few things. The catalytic converter was one, but there was also another program you were talking about. And I think it'd be important for the viewers to hear. It was something with the like if you can write down all your serial numbers of all of your appliances,
Yeah,
and if you can talk about that.
absolutely. What we did was we've put it out at least twice, maybe 3 times, but we put it in the newspapers, we put it on our website, and we do that right before Christmas, especially because people get
Right.
gifts. It's a lot easier to get a serial number off a new TV in the box than it is to
Hmm.
get it off the wall hanging, you know,
Yeah.
hanging on the wall. So, but anything with a serial number, any household product, uh, you know, as far as coffee makers, electronic product, you know, coffee makers, TVs, handguns, rifles, uh, air compressors, generators, four wheelers, anything that has a serial number, a make, model, and serial number. That's huge because when we do these drug busts, even pictures, if you have a SD card, you want to download pictures of maybe a bike or a four wheeler, if you get it stolen, let me tell you, it helps to identify it,
Yeah.
to know what it looks like. Because, sometimes they'll scratch off the serial numbers, and we just have to go on,
Right. There
way,
might be
way,
some
way a
kind of
four-wheeler
defined
looks.
markings
That's
on it or
right.
scratch or something.
So it really helps because around Christmas time, that's when you have gifts, maybe in your back seat that they see, or under your carport, you forgot your gifts in your car. They go take them, or a handgun. We get handguns stolen quite often. People make a report, and we don't have the serial number. So what happens if we make a traffic stop? We stop, somebody speeding or whatever for narcotics, okay? And we run that handgun. Well, it's stolen, but guess what? We don't know that because nobody ever turned in that serial number. So we run it, and guess what? It comes back not stolen because it was never entered into our database.
Right.
So we give the gun back to the suspect, or the violator. And they take off with a stolen gun, but we have no idea. So,
There's no way to prove that it's not
there's no
his
way to
because
prove.
it
I
doesn't come
mean,
up stolen.
it doesn't come up stolen. You could find an original owner, but to do that, you got to go through the FBI, and that takes a while for them to get back with us. They don't just run it. You can't just pop up and run it through the FBI like that. So.
I thought that was pretty interesting when you told me that the other day. Just wanted you to tell that to the,
A
to the
good
viewers.
example. Let's say we do a drug bust on a house. We seize guns, vehicles, money, drugs. Well, don't think we don't go in that house and look at it, TVs and stuff and run stuff because we find, let's say some of these guns come back stolen, or something else
Then there's
that came
probably
back
other
stolen.
stuff that's
Yeah,
stolen.
they're criminals. They hang with criminals. So sometimes we find stuff like that.
Yeah.
Generators, four wheelers, hand tools, drills,
Yeah, that's a
cordless
big
drills.
one. The hand tools lately.
Yeah,
I know a lot of
yeah,
people have been having them wiped out. A lot of,
yeah.
I guess they resell at the pawn shops. Is it set up with the pawn shops or anything?
We did the same thing that we did with we sent the pawn shops in the parish when I got in office in 20. We sent all the pawn shops a letter of I don't want to say too much, but let's say they have to list their products, And what we could do is we have a way to look at that, and we could see, if products are sold, and we look and see if something didn't match that from somebody that was a victim, that their stuff got stolen,
Right.
And we found a lot of stuff. We found I think 2 pistols in Oklahoma, if I'm not mistaken, that was stolen from Mr. Webb Gio's gun shop 20 years ago, just by entering when we
Down
got in the
in
sheriff's
Vic.
office. Yeah, we ran the serial numbers some old files, and those guns popped up like that.
I'll be dog.
Yeah, so we were able to recover them.
Well, before I let you go, we're gonna jump gears a little bit. This is just some of the questions. This next one that a lot of viewers been asking me to ask the candidates and everything.
Sure.
It's pretty general. So, what are your thoughts on term limits? This is your second term, so
Yeah.
do you,
Well, if I get it.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're running for your second term.
Right. That's right. Well, it depends. I guess it depends on the office. In a way, on local elections and even larger elections, I'm not really for term limits, and I am and I'm not. I'm really not for it because, uh, as someone stated before, they don't want you here, Bubba. They're gonna put you out. You know what I'm saying? And it's the voter that does that. I can tell you now. Even my first election, I didn't know. I thought I was gonna run second. And I was gonna try to beat Sheriff Anderson in the runoff, but I didn't. I was ahead of him in the first round and the second round. So if the people want you out, they'll replace you. So it's the people's vote. It's just you have to vote.
You're
So,
term limited every cycle, every election. You're term limited
yeah,
if you could be.
you're naturally term limited. Basically, you had your people's. This is the thing is if you got a guy or a female that's doing their job and they're doing really well, why would you want to change that and mess that up to take a chance? Because let's say there's a term limit, right? let's say there's a 12-year term limit on the sheriff or an 8-year on the representative, which I think there is. Okay, let's say he gets out of office. Now you get another representative in office. Well, if he comes back and runs the third time and wins again, and everything this guy did, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You back to where you were 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And then if he's a really good guy, then he's behind 4 years. He could have did more for you in those 4 years. So I think it's the people's vote, and that's what it comes down to. I promise you, I can't predict an election, and it's going to be the people's vote. So let them vote you in or let them vote you out.
Right.
I mean,
Plain and simple.
that's it.
Yeah, I know y'all been busy, this especially during election year and stuff. I'm sure you're talking to thousands of people, and if someone has a major problem, obviously call 911 or 253-4000 or whatever it is. But
Right.
how, as far as open door policy, how accessible? Or if someone has a problem, are you able to sit down with them and kind of discuss certain issues? Or you do you have time? Are you able to meet with people? When you're out
Yeah.
of the election year
Well,
on a general
like I
basis.
said, really, to be honest with you, election year has been since I got in here. I mean, people invite you places. It feels no different. I mean, I go to functions. I'm telling you, the only thing that's a little different is we give out a little more money. But other than that, I can't tell the difference, except maybe more candidate curriculum. Where you have to go to more debates or more speakings or something like this.
More
That's the only
podcasts.
different. But
Yeah.
like I said, election year really is every year. But
Because you go to all the festivals and
when I took the job, look, I know people vote for the sheriff. They want to see the sheriff. I know that, but myself included, I can promise you, nobody except, the person himself knows the volume that comes at you. I'll give an example. When I first got in, even now, I can probably sometimes every 3 to 5 minutes, I'm getting a call. I mean, even now, and it's 3 years later. I'm telling you, what I mean. I get text messages, I get Facebook messages, I get phone calls on my personal cell phone, and I get calls at the office. And in that time, I have unscheduled appointments that just show up. Just they
Yeah.
come in, and I want to see them. And if I can, I will. But sometimes I have to do my job too.
Yeah.
And if I got to have meetings with employees because I got a problem, with the deputy or with any employee, or a problem in general with the office, whether it be maintenance or an inmate, I got to deal with it. And people come, and I'm going to tell you, that office does not sleep. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's in the middle of the night, whether it's, maybe a patrolman gets in a crash, maybe somebody gets hurt, maybe they had to tase somebody, maybe there's a barricaded subject, maybe the inmates are cutting up, and they do all kind of things. And I mean, the office is very busy. I think I was getting the average 80 missed calls a day on my cell phone, not counting what I was taking on the sheriff's phone.
Yeah.
Plus people coming in. Plus, I looked today. I didn't get to read my emails from yesterday at lunch. Okay, I pulled them up. So that was yesterday from 12 noon till this afternoon. I had 258 emails. Okay, and this is daily. This is daily. Okay.
Daily.
So I mean, guess what? I have to decipher through every one and what's
Yeah.
sheriff and what's a sales pitch trying to come over the computer. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
And
yeah.
I mean, some of this is Department of Justice emails. Some of it's coming from Sheriff's Association, from the state police. I mean, it's business. I mean, Attorney General's office. I mean, so it's busy. And I try to see people and I try to call everybody back, but sometimes I try to delegate that. But I'm gonna tell you, there's not enough employees. We started trash pickup. We bought
I saw 'em this morning.
Yeah, we started a trash pickup. But guess what? I looked. It took me 3 weeks to find 2 inmates that I could take out, and I had 306 to 309 inmates. It took me 2 weeks to find 2, because and I think they were transfers from another facility. You know what I mean? But it's hard. You don't want to put somebody that you can't put sexual or violent out there.
Right.
So that cuts out a
Flight
lot.
risk
And then a lot of them in there for narcotics. Well, if the guy just been arrested for narcotics, you surely don't want to put him out there, because if they know they're gonna pick up trash down this road, their family's gonna go bring narcotics.
Oh yeah.
put it in a bag and say, hey, look next to the stop sign. As you know, they talk on the kiosk. Now we monitor a lot of stuff, but it's hard, And like I said, we just try to do what we can, but it's busy because we hand out commodities with council agent. They call us to clean up schools, move tables, this, that, any type of governmental or nonprofit. And I mean, they use us, and we don't mind doing it. It's just, I mean, we got trees down. We need firewood. We go cut trees.
Right.
Probably gave 40. We averaged around 40 something to 50, right at 50 ricks of wood to give to these fairs. Maybe some of them want 22 ricks. I mean, and we donate that. I mean,
Right.
it's a lot of work over there. That place don't sleep. I'm gonna tell you. But after this election, I'm gonna continue hiring employees, and that helps a lot too, because you could, you have more to disperse, and you have,
Yeah.
so. But our biggest problem is trying to find decent inmates to put out. I would say that's a huge problem because when they got rid of those 400 something inmates, if I asked to replace that, which I've replaced about a quarter of that. But if you think a sheriff's going to give me a good inmate or a bad inmate, you know,
That's why you
they're
got
not.
two.
Yeah, they're not giving me their good ones. They give me their trouble.
Yeah.
So and so it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, for sure. I can tell you this. I'll say this here. I'm never running for any kind of office because I see,
Yeah.
obviously, what you go through, even the police jury,
Oh yeah.
I'm sure they don't have near what you do, but any kind of office, I mean, you got to deal with the, people
Yeah.
and the phone calls at all hours of the night,
Right.
and I'm sure nobody understands why you didn't get talk to me this morning when I first called. I mean, I'm sure y'all hear it all.
Yeah, some people do and some people don't, and
Yeah.
like I said, a lot of people do, but I think last year I had 8 days off where I didn't have to go anywhere or do
Yeah.
anything. And it wasn't an election year,
Yeah.
you know.
Wow.
But and I know that's not the phone now. I'm just saying I had off where I didn't have to anywhere to go,
Yeah.
and that phone it doesn't stop, man. It doesn't stop, you know.
Well, Sheriff, what are you closing? Well, first of all, what's your ballot number?
5-3, that's 53.
Number 53 on the ballot. So, what are your closing thoughts? What we talked about a lot tonight,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
if
we
you can
did.
just kind of sum it up to the viewers, to your constituents, why should they reelect Sheriff Dauzat for another term?
Well, to be honest with you, like I said, when I left the state police, I did it for the right reason. By resigning and leaving the state police, and because I won, uh, and I'm not going back to the state police. I gave up well over, not what I'm drawing, or gonna draw, but well over 60 something thousand on my retirement. That's what I gave up. Okay. Now, obviously, I did it because it was the right thing to do. Now, my wife is a nurse practitioner, so I'm older in life. I have state police retirement when I'm ready. So,
Yeah.
but the main reason is I want to make a difference. I have kids. I have grandkids. I see what's going on in this parish. I'm honest. I'm a Christian guy. And like I said, I drive, look, my truck is a 24-year-old truck. There ain't too many sheriffs that drive a 24-year-old truck, I can promise you that. But I don't want another one. I'm not that type of guy. I'm just here trying to make a difference, and that's where the common sense decisions, all this stuff we talked about in the beginning, uh, you know, that's who I am. When I ran in 2019, I said that I never ran for the title of sheriff. I ran for the position, and I want to make it better. I want to see us have patrolmen in every part of the parish. I want to see us have detectives. I want to see less crime. I want to see a search and rescue. I want to see everything that everybody else wants to see. You know, and I want to see it more because guess what? My phone won't ring as much if I have all that, right? So I
Yeah.
mean, believe me, whatever y'all want, I want it more. you know, but I'm just saying we in it for the right reasons, and uh, and that's it. I mean, I'm just trying to make a difference. I think we are making a difference, and we want to continue doing that. So,
Well, I sure appreciate you coming out to the program, and I know I said it before, and I say it to all my guests. I think it's important. A lot of people are going to watch this and share it. That way, everyone can hear your side. They can hear your other contenders. I've interviewed them. You're the last of them. I've interviewed um, two of them. One, he didn't want to come on, but anyway, so I'm glad everybody got to hear everyone's side of the story and let the voters decide. Thanks again for coming on.
yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. This the incumbent sheriff, David Dauzat, number 53 on the ballot. I want to thank everyone for watching this journey with us, for trekking on along, watching all these election podcasts. And this is another edition of The Other Side.
I wanna be like you. I wanna be like you.